Welcome back to the WCS Championship Series Winter Edition. We're moving into our decider match here in the Americas group for a Mexican standoff between two players from Mexico. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Zombie Grub here at the desk for Zerg versus Terran after a pretty exciting Zerg versus Terran of Scarlet versus SpeCial.
Yes, lots of Terrans and Zergs everywhere, apparently. That was a really sick match. I mean, I'm not going to say it was the best series of Winter, because there's still so much to be played out, but that second game with the comeback, basically, from Scarlet, it was super sick. This is where if SpeCial didn't already 2-0 Cham, I'm talking about SpeCial's mentality versus Zerg, and maybe that's going to be detrimental, but I'm not. I'm just going to say that SpeCial probably 2-0s again, because it comes down to it, his macro is still pretty darn good.
So just some fun facts for you guys. Currently, SpeCial is 33-3 versus Cham. That is 3-3-3 versus Cham. Cham did not win a series versus SpeCial last year. Cham did manage to take a series off of SpeCial in 2017 and 2 series off of SpeCial in 2016, both in Copa America. To say that this is going to be a tough match historically for Cham is a little bit of an understatement.
Well, maybe he'll come back. Maybe it's this year, this moment.
2019 is a new year.
Yes,
me.
it's going to be his one win of the year against SpeCial. That was no. This guy has a long road ahead of him. Even though we're at the decider match, it's still long. In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it is Cham.
New year, new me. I haven't played in 2019. But down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the red Terran player playing from Korea. He is SpeCial. X10 Esports.
You know, the thing for me really isn't like, it's not even, like, let's just say that everyone has an equal skill right now.
That SpeCial has beaten Cham the last 8 times they faced each other?
No. Let's just, like, pretend right now, just for a second, that everyone has equal skill. Like,
am I equal to you?
Oh, God, I don't like this world. I don't like this universe. No, the players are watching.
Yeah.
It still is an issue for me about style. Like, I would love if Cham had the ability to look at Scarlet's play and be like, you know what, I can do that. Like, I can do all those things, right? I can play those styles. But honestly, even if he did try, I don't think it would be up to par. But it's like, yeah, a lot of this is a stylistic thing for me. I think SpeCial is going to find himself very comfortable against Cham. And what could make that different is if, yeah, okay, maybe Cham throws out an all-in or 2 or something like that, and maybe he could try and mix things up. SpeCial has been using builds that can be, you know, they're malleable. They can be changed to be defensive too. So it'd have to be a tricky all-in, in my opinion, from Cham.
Yeah, one kind of advantage Cham does also have going into this is that he has just seen what SpeCial's ZvT is or TVZ is looking like right now with the series versus Scarlet. He saw him also being taken a bit to the edge there, as obviously SpeCial ended up losing that series. Not saying that all of that is going to be reproducible, but Cham has not only that experience, but he also has 36 other series he's played versus SpeCial to know his ins and outs, what he's good at, what he's bad at, to try and formulate some sort of plan. He knew that this was going to be his group. He knew he was either going to have to beat Scarlet or SpeCial, and, well, it's going to be SpeCial. He has to beat SpeCial to make it to the round robin.
But if he was already thinking about that for the first match of the day, then
yeah,
it's unfortunately a failure.
This is true. He's had some more time to reflect since then.
He's had an hour and a half to reflect.
Hitting up all the NA Zergs is like, okay, guys, give me the dirtiest, filthiest builds you can imagine. I say that, but he's got a third base on the way. He's pushing back the Reaper. He's playing King's Cove.
It's looking like a macro game, which it just, like, you know, there's games where easily you look back on a game like in the last series and you're like, if 1 or 2 things had been different, then the other person wins, and they're otherwise like very good opponents to each other. But I looked at those first 2 games with Cham and I'm like, even if he changed 1 or 2 things, even if he didn't take X or Y amount of damage, it still felt like SpeCial was going to have the just, you know, perfect response to everything. It was so fluid with how he was able to macro. Just basically really, really putting this guy up on a pedestal, I suppose.
He is quite good, and I think there were you and Nate, as well as many other people, probably even favored him a little bit. Not a huge amount, but a little bit versus Scarlet, for example. So I mean, he definitely does warrant a lot of that respect. But here we go. We do have Hellions poking forward. It's going to be a Liberator follow-up very, very quickly. There's no drones to kill it over at the third base. We're going to try and kill off some of these lings that pop out of the larva as they are are about to make their way out. Overlords gets a scout out and sees, tech lab on the barracks, nothing on the starport, reactor still in the factory. I gotcha. Oh, or do you?
That could be a fake. That could be a fake. It's close enough to the starport that it could be obviously swapped over, and even if it wasn't, Aaron's always had that ability to just be like, no, I'm actually just going to do something different. So he does not swap the starport onto it, though, so this is maybe more of a defensive setup where he's like, okay, hold on. I just beat Cham. Zerg sucks. Like, I just lost to Scarlet. Like, I don't want to be all in and then lose my mentality here. So maybe just playing very safe.
Okay, it does see a decent number of these Hellions making their way forward. If he sees any more Hellions, that is going to start to ring a few kind of alarm bells, I think, in Cham's head about, are you going for what I think you are? But here we go. Hellions getting pushed back, and the Queen's doing a good job. But there are 2 drones that go down somewhere. The Liberator actually moved in at the same time. The Queen and the Sport Crawler are going to get there in time. Everything should be okay.
Bit of a special. Yeah. He always pairs with those Hellions with the Liberator. Anyways, the first thing I was noticing is that Cham's not going for a Roach-Warren, which is the easy peasy defense. You just get a couple until the Hellions really can't do anything. No, didn't go for Roach-Warren at all. Adds a Baneling Nest and a Lair, so maybe he was watching those games and figuring that it's time to change up his style, go for that Baneling, whatever, I guess, right?
But you don't think it's just because he thinks that it's bio? Because he saw the barracks on the tech lab, and he saw that the tech lab started researching STEM?
Well, I think that, no, that's exactly what the pretense is that if you assume that Special is going to go bio, he's going to change things up to not go roaches.
Gotcha.
But it is not bio. You bring to bring that up, right? Like, he swapped it off to a tank. That's a very safe opener, but then he does also add armories instead of a, stim somewhere else. And that's going to mess up Cham's plan, where he's thinking, like, okay, I'll go try something different to what I expect, and it's actually Special doing something different. So,
well, this is certainly going to be a bit of a different game than we saw in the first series, as with Special adding on those factories and going into mech. We'll see when Cham gets the first wind of this. He's also going to see a bunch of these Marines make their way across the map, and I also wonder if Cham's going to see these Marines and think, Stim and Combat Shields are about to finish up. They're like seconds away from finishing up or something right now.
I would say not to that, but I'll explain in a second. As the attack, it's so weirdly timed, no matter if this was a follow-up of bio or mech. It's so weird. Those tanks would, if scouted, before they came over here, would 100% say that he thought it would be defensive, so to see them engage was very odd.
7 workers and a council on the 4th base is some really nice damage for a push that effectively just costs the Liberators. That's all it really costs Special right there.
Yeah. So anyways, to go with, as to why I feel like this is actually a push that screams mech. Maybe it's Terran bias looking through only one lens, but is that you would just wait for medevacs if you really wanted to do something, or you would only go for the Hellbats. Like, this type of push is what we see if we see it at all. Which is the real weirdness to it. With someone going for mech, it just seems more often. But yeah, we don't see these pushes very often anymore. I think the last time we saw like 2 tanks this early was like, I can't remember the map, so why did I even try? Abyssal Reef.
Oh yeah.
Remember? Yeah, I remember.
I was trying to figure out a year, but then you said Abyssal Reef. I'm like, oh, that map that was in the map pool for 3 years.
Yeah, people were doing that weird like 1 tank on the 3rd base.
I do remember exactly what you're talking about now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all coming back to me.
But anyways, but it all matters what Cham's thinking, and Cham's still going for the lane Baneling. And he is getting a hive. He doesn't have anything sturdier right now.
Yeah, Hellion count has definitely been revealed here, and he's adding on just more Banelings to help deal with those Hellions if they start running on in or turn into Hellbats. And like you said, Hive Tech on the way. He has not started up Aspire just yet, if he was looking to go to Fast Broodlords.
That's weird. That is weird. It just, to me, like, everything points towards, well, especially with the Thors now. But without the double medevac drop full of 16 Marines, it all just was, like, heavily pointing towards the mech. He's playing with fire, basically, but being this greedy.
Hellbats, not taking much damage. Okay, that Baneling at the end got some good damage done, and here we go. Now the Hellbats are going to get cleaned up. The Lings doing quite a bit of damage. Tells are taking a lot of damage.
But what is what is the Hive for?
I think it's for Vipers, right?
You don't go Baneling Viper, do you? You need something a little more punch.
You pull the Thors into the Baneling.
You get something else. You get something else with this. Even if it is only a handful of roaches or just hydras.
I think I could see it just for Blinding Cloud. To Blinding Cloud the Siege Tank so that the Lings and the Banelings can still close the distance. That's still okay.
What?
Ultra Cavern. All right. Well, there's an old saying for Zerg players. You either win with the Ultra Cavern or you live long enough to see yourself lose the game.
Well, okay. Is that a saying? I don't know, man. This is like ultras are just kind of proven not to be that great versus mech. Unsiege tanks, believe it or not, especially against someone who thinks who has too much confidence in ultras, right? They're just like, oh, I'll just spam ultras and I'll win. Unsiege tanks do surprisingly well against them, which of course they would just run into the blinding cloud. I don't know. This is a greedy way to play against either composition. I'm assuming that Cham does in fact know it's mech, and this is how he's going to play it out. I'm just very interested in seeing exactly how he imagined the scenario to go down. I guess perfect hits with Banelings on the Hellbats, and then, as you were saying, blinding clouds on the tanks so that the ultras aren't even attacked. Like, that would be the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
We just don't see it happen perfectly.
And to clarify also, Cham, I'm pretty sure knows it's mech at this point because he did see an insane number of Hellions. He's also put forward and he saw, I think, a lot of Siege Shanks.
Well, double Thor drops,
yeah.
like that's mech, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely knows about this, so this is a very intentional choice. So here we go. The first couple ultras are going to be popping out soon. Chitinous plating is on the way. Just has to deal with some of these Thor drops still. Queen gets picked off very, very quickly. I guess it was low on hit points. And the Thor is actually going to focus fire down the Spore Crawler, but the Vipers may make it difficult to run away as they keep pulling these Thors back.
You don't have Hydras. This is the thing, right? Is like, I would be so on board with what Cham is doing. Well, not really. I don't think Ultra's a great idea. But I would be a little more on board.
Right-hand side of the map, by the way, there is a push of Hellions and Liberators.
Well, darn, I forgot my point. Oh, my point was that I would be so much more like, you know, I'd be like, oh, this makes sense if there were Hydras in the mix at the very least. Which there are not, so the Thors will continue coming in here to do harassment.
Oh my god. They're actually going to take out some of the Overlords. I don't know if that's going to do anything close to supply blocking Cham. Looks like not for now, but the Siege Shank's getting surrounded by a bunch of these Lings. The Ultras coming in from behind. Liberators finally going to start getting some shots off. The Vipers are not actually close. Okay, there they are, starting to pull these Liberators out of Siege. But at the same time, a lot of drone damage is happening. 22 drones have already gone down thanks to these Thors, plus the Liberators in the 3rd or 4th base.
By the way, we're talking so much about what Cham's doing, and his creep sphere is actually quite good. Last point. SpeCial is on 4 bases, planetary, with a 5th, 6th, and 7th command center on the way. He's pumping out those Liberators to help out. He's actually getting Cyclones, which is not a bad idea. They are something you can micro against the Ultras as well as help.
Cham is going for?
That is the Ultra Speed.
Oh my god, I see it so rarely.
Yeah, I know. That's what my first reaction was to it. Yeah.
I was like, is that a new melee upgrade?
That will round out the Ultras. It's just that our Ultra is actually the best way to go. We're finding out. I mean, he has pushed back at least one big attack. Liberators don't die up here.
Well, when you don't have Hydras. I guess finally now the Spire is done, the Corruptors are on the way and should be able to finally clean up some of those Liberators. But yeah, that definitely got a little bit dicey with how much damage those Liberators were doing.
One thing we can say about this composition is that SpeCial was probably surprised.
Yes. I think everyone was a little bit surprised by this.
Yeah, he didn't. He knew, like, Hive, right, is predictable, but the Ultras maybe not so much. I think he's also predicting that Broodlords are going to be on the way soon. And Cyclones are a nice, you know, they're a bridge between dealing with Ultras as well as dealing with Broodlords. But we'll go into more of the complications later on when we actually see that Cyclone count get up and high. And he's also going for Drilling Claws. That's cool. You can get rid of the fodder that is Lings and the Banelings as well. You can drag and drop them over Broodlords if you're really super cool.
Dropping the main base in the natural with the Thors. Still getting damage done because, as you said many times, there is effectively, or was for a really long time, no anti-air, but finally the Corruptors are here to start cleaning up those medevacs. At the same time, SpeCial pushes in at the front. He's very far and deep onto creep, so these Lings, these Ultras, going to be able to close the distance very quickly. And the Liberators also getting pulled, but is there actually enough here for Cham? It looks like it's very narrowly not enough on the ground.
Yeah, and with the Cyclones now being pumped out here, the Corruptors will be taken out if they decide to just, like, stay here. There they come now. They do have their upgrade. They have 2/2 for the regular attack as well. Like, this is just looking...
Ooh.
This is looking good enough for SpeCial, certainly, who is taking the map behind this with extra command centers, gets that 4th base kill, or 5th, whatever you want to call it.
Yep, and as the Cyclones continue to whittle away at these units, they back up to the Siege Shanks. The safety of those Siege Shanks is going to provide so much value as he continues to just do more and more damage to an already small army of Cham, who's trying to get out enough units to deal with this, but Ultras get focus fire down by those Cyclones. They do not survive very long.
Yeah, I mean, they're so kiteable, right? So right now, Special's just missing Hellions, which he knows. He's trying to get some more. The Lings are giving him trouble.
I think he's just going to right-click down the hatchery now.
Yes, he should, and just run away. The Broodlords are not high enough in number. Actually, if there were Hellions, Hellbats, then the Cyclones could probably take on these Broodlords. But as I said, the Hellions were a little late. It's not paired up here. So Cham will temporarily live, but he's lost 2 hatcheries. Very important mining.
Yeah, and in terms of mining, he is now down about 7, or it's 3 hatcheries right now versus 7 total command centers of orbital commands, 5 of them in 2 planetary fortresses. So it is a tough spot to come back from economically.
Yeah, and Special adding on that production is no slouch, getting more starports in case he wants to go just full into Vikings or even Liberators, which have been so effective in this game. Cham doing the right call, doing the right thing, going for some Infestors, more Spellcasters, better chance of making it out alive.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, but Cham is just going to try and hold out. But here come a bunch of Hellions running in. They actually spot out the Infestors. Cyclones maybe get a chance to lock onto one and kill one, as they do go down very quickly to those Cyclones.
Oh my god, 6 Thors at a time.
Okay, that's one way to spend your money.
Yeah, and what's so insane is that they actually kind of pack a punch versus Ultras. Like,
oh, you don't have to tell me that Thors are good, okay? Thors are quite wonderful.
The only unit Fear Dragon will make when he plays Terran. Because one time he was like, I'm going to do it, and it worked out. And he was like, these are amazing.
I have like a 96% win rate with Thors in team games.
Yeah, that's the reason you have that win percentage.
It's definitely not because I'm getting carried by Zombie Grub and Pig.
No. 26 drones have gone down. As soon as Cham gets his bases back up, they get killed, or they're just not efficient mining.
Fungal Growths on the Cyclone's gonna lock them down. The Ultra combo. One Ultra. The Broodlords. The Fungal Growths. It's not enough.
Yeah, the range in that lock-on was hilarious.
Yeah, this is final push moments here for Cham, but unfortunately for him, it's not even going to be him pushing. It's going to be Special pushing with more of these Cyclones killing off another one of these Queens. Going to kill off the hatchery, possibly before the rest of the army gets here. Looks like Special's going to play it safe.
He's going to start running out of drones to kill if he keeps doing this.
I'm starting to feel this is going into the territory of Cham gonna be feeling a little bit worse moving into the next game, just because it's one of those things where if you're in a game that you're losing for too long, it can be frustrating moving into the next game.
That's a very good point. Sometimes it is just better to tap out.
Yeah.
Especially with such a weird game, you know? Like, I doubt Cham went into this game thinking he's definitely going to do mech, and I'm definitely going to go for fast ultras against it. I think there was maybe his idea once he found out it was mech was still the ultras, and I'm just not a believer in them, but he is.
What if you got Overlord drop, and then you drop the ultras on the tanks? Dodge the Liberator shots, no?
No, what? No. But no. But anyways, that Cham had to respond and really change things up, I think is safe to say. And in a game like that, I would have expected you to be more than willing to really tap out. But it is a decider match, and it is just...
Yep, it is a very important match for both of these players. But here we go. The Thor army has arrived. He's going to be pushing his way into victory, as the Zerg player just does not have enough here, sitting at half the army supply, and these ultras, oh my god, do they get shredded.
They do. I mean, it was just such a severe army difference.
Yep, that's a tough one. Special takes the first game, as a lot of people would have expected. And I think what I liked about that game so far was that Special he got an early advantage, and then it was just him holding that advantage for a really long time. He just did a really good job of never letting it go.
What was the first advantage he got?
Let's see. He was doing some decent worker damage in the harassment. Like, he was getting, I think, with that between the Hellions and the Liberators, he was getting just like 7, 8 workers repeatedly over and over and over again. So I kind of felt like it was that. But if I had to pick one moment, I would say it was the moment where he was doing the Hellion run-by, I think it was. It was Hellion run-by or the Liberator, one of the two. And he gets 7 workers and pulled the army back to the main base, and then killed off 4th. That was probably the big one.
That is the big one. Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. Because I was going to say, the Liberator Hellion stuff wasn't so much more than any other games I've seen Zerg come back from, you know? So it was. I think that was the real like advantage that
Well, he
SpeCial
was establishing
able,
like fourth
Yeah.
base or something.
yeah, that he was able to really snowball off of that. But yeah, it was just another well executed game by SpeCial. Even if there were things not going perfectly for him, the macro behind it was basically perfect. I didn't watch everything he did, but but it was very smooth. Like he responded to his opponent's composition with seemingly ease because he had the economy that he set up so well. So that we did have transitions into cyclones, we had more starports.
Was he ever under attack that game? He was
No.
always the one putting the pressure on Cham. So Cham was always responding, and when you're on the defensive in StarCraft, you're reacting to your opponent, you're naturally just going to be a little bit less prepared because if you're reacting to someone, then you're not saying the pace of when this aggression's happening. You're in the middle of your macro cycles, your inject cycles and stuff, and you're saying, okay, now I have to go interrupt my inject cycles to go deal with all this harassment going on. Where SpeCial is just saying, okay, yeah, I am planning the moment that I'm going to move in. I'm going to move in with the cyclones when I'm ready to move in with the cyclones.
Yeah.
It's tough.
The pacing's a good word for what went wrong there, as amongst other things. But I think what's interesting, just trying to remember the correct keys here. There we go. I think actually let's do the introductions first, and I'll go into comparing the two TVZs.
Okay.
As we are on New Repugnancy. In the bottom left is the blue Zerg. He is Cham.
That was a new team, Chivo. Repping them well. But starting up in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player. He is SpeCial. X10.
So comparing this series with the Scarlet series, like I think we talked about that pacing, the Zerg being the one that has to be reacting to things. That was how Scarlet was forced to win those 2 games that she won, right? There was a super long game where she took a lot of damage, got to Broodlords and Spellcasters, and was able to pull it out. In the second game as well, she just defend until she had that one really good striking moment.
That's true.
And I think Cham might have looked at that and been like, if I get to that late game position, I can be okay. The difference was, one, he wasn't able to last nearly as long, right? That second game with Scarlet, like she just got 5 bases and was like, these are mine for 20 minutes. Don't touch me.
Yeah. She wasn't losing bases during most of that.
Yeah, despite losing drones. And in that very last game, she had that one surgical strike that really just killed SpeCial. Cham he's missing that, and it looks like he is going to change things up within earlier pool.
Yep, 16 pool. So it's not like a 12 pool or some kind of super duper fast all-in or anything. SCV makes its way across the map, so SpeCial is going to catch wind of those lings unless Cham sends his lings in a little bit less of a direct pathway, but even then the SCV will see the later hatchery.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what Cham didn't want to have happen. He probably noticed that SpeCial wasn't SCV scouting and figured now is the time to try and make it work, and this is coincidentally the time that SpeCial SCV scouts, so...
As much as, of course, Cham has got a lot of experience versus SpeCial, and I'm sure that they have all sorts of fun mind games back and forth across the years, SpeCial also has had a lot of experience facing off versus Cham, so knows him well.
Yeah. Very good start here for SpeCial. Basically stopped something potentially bad for him from even happening. And Cham is forced to... I mean, he wasn't dedicating so much into that. It was...
It's more the moral loss when you're already down 0-1 in a match where you know that the other person's heavily favored because they're one of the best non-Koreans in the world. And you're saying, okay, let me try and get an edge. And then that doesn't work. It's like, it's not actually a massive deal in the game, but it hurts. It hurts in a different place than in the in-game stats.
Yeah, it feels like Cham is just being, like, every time he tries to think of something new and raises his hand, SpeCials that teaches are just like, no, you're dumb. Stop asking questions.
Oh my god, who hurt you, Zombie Crow?
It's like Cham has tried a couple different things at this point. Compositions, right? He's changed up the way he takes the game in the super late game. That didn't work for him either. And then just now, an early pool didn't do anything whatsoever. So
yeah, he's going to just try and drone back out of it. Zergling speed is going to be finished up, so he should be able to push back the Reaper, if not just kill it off, as you usually end up doing. But Hellions are joining forces with things, and we do have a tech lab finishing up on the other side of the map. We'll see where that lands, as it is currently on the starport, and the barracks floating off. Zombie Grub, that's usually a sign of something.
Well, now it's just a sign of killing the Overlord. We'll see if he...
You landed on the low ground and build your tech lab there to get up stim.
That would be the ultimate play.
That would be like a raise level play from Americas. But we do have the Hellions running on in. Roasting a lot of these Lings, but not any drones so far.
He still has 4 Hellions alive, man. I know that 3 of them are well dead, but this is the scary count. And luckily for Cham, he stops from getting to the main base.
Yep. A few more drones do go down, 2 of them. But overall, I would say actually killed off a lot more Lings than anything else. 8 Lings getting killed there, so some light pressure getting done by SpeCial.
Yeah. He eventually got that Overlord, by the way. There is another one trying to make its way in right now, and then we'll see the Cloak Banshee. But I think what's more important is that SpeCial saw that it was Roach. Oh, you got me. Yeah, okay, it's not a Roachborn. There was one there, definitely. And it was like 90%
I was like, what
done.
are you zooming in on something?
It was like 90% done. I'm not crazy.
I was like, are you pointing out that Cham is not using the amazing larva skin?
No, it's real. It happened. But that's good then, because like SpeCial is going to be like, oh, it's roaches again. I think it's going to make it an easy game for him, and it's not roaches. So SpeCial's the one going to be tricked this game, like he tried to trick Cham last game.
Banshee makes its way forward, going to do some good damage to that one queen and kill off a creep tumor while the Hellions are being dealt with by the queens. One of the Hellions gets very low, a second Hellion, third Hellion, they all pop in an instant. And Cham has a pretty good defense on that side. Doesn't lose too many workers or anything to the Banshee, but losing the creep tumor is a bit annoying. Makes it a nice pathway for SpeCial to maybe move in a little bit later on as he adds in an armory and a couple extra factories.
So the awkward thing is that's not a Roachborn again, and I think it's because he was able to tell it's mech. He saw 4 more Hellions, and that just, you usually swapped off there to the barracks if you're going to go into bio by that point. So he kind of has to get roaches to feel safe at the very least. I was saying last game, like if he went Ling, Baneling, Hydra against mech, that can work. In fact, it can work quite well in some situations. It just, he never got those Hydras, which is so weird. But roaches are the safer way of opening against mech, safer, more expendable units too.
Banshee's killing off one of the queens and can still one-shot these workers that stay a little too far away from that Spore Crawler. Just gonna go after the gas guys. They're trying to get some free damage done. But Lair finishes on up. We're gonna be seeing likely an Overseer or 2 made just to help deal with the Banshees if need be. But third base established here for SpeCial. Adds on those 2 Thors for the Medivacs to continue on with his pressure. And he was doing a really great job in the last game staying on top of the upgrades, but okay, there's the upgrades starting up here for SpeCial.
I think he actually started them and then canceled to get Medivacs on time.
Oh, interesting.
I think. But I also feel I'm going crazy after the Roachborn thing. Yeah, so he's
There's a
now
Hydra den down. What? No.
he's
No, he canceled it, I swear. No,
well,
just kidding.
I felt like I was going crazy. This is a solid setup for Cham right now. 4 bases, 68 drones on his way to those safe roaches as I was talking about, with decent upgrades, decent creep spread too. SpeCial has not done nearly as much damage this game as the other one.
Is suicided in all of those Hellions both times, and I think the only real creep damage or creep control he's actually done was that Banshee sniping off one of the active creep tumors on the north side. And that does mean there's a little less creep spread on the north side, but there's still a pretty decent amount. It really is the 4th base that's probably under the most fire here.
Yes.
The Hellbats come forward alongside those Thors. That is a scary army to engage against, but he's got roaches. Cham has the tools he needs to defend this.
I would like for SpeCial to just target down the hatchery, I think.
With the Thors?
Yeah, I mean, he could take on the roaches because there weren't enough to begin with, so he's going to get trades here for just Hellbats versus the gas roaches. But yeah, I think he also could have gone for the 4th base. Once you see roaches, you should usually assume there's more on the way.
Ling or Roach run by in the 3rd base of SpeCial, and actually it is a couple of Lings. 7 workers go down. Nice. This doesn't seem like a huge deal. 7 workers, of course, is very nice, but I feel like that is actually one of the first times Cham has gotten some counter damage done to SpeCial.
This is the best start for Cham I think he's had.
Yeah.
Not that there's been really terrible starts in the past, but this is the best one in his favor. Saves the 4th base, gets SCVs killed, still has all this creep spread. All the harassment has been taken care of to certainly a good degree.
Staying on top of upgrades. Everything is going very, very well so far for Cham. Not to say that he's significantly further ahead or anything, but this is, like you said, the best start he's had so far. So let's see if we can keep carrying it on forward as the mech player starts to build up into the very scary looking army that is oftentimes difficult to engage into.
Cham's going to go for Swarm Host this game. Eventually he's going to add on the Hive as well. For now, investing into a ton of those.
Yeah, I forgot that Cham is actually one of those players that really likes going for Swarmhost versus mech players. Now, of course, with so many siege tanks, that is sort of the name of the game, is trying to use those Swarmhosts, those free units, to get a lot of free pickoffs, especially if those siege tanks are sieged up. It forces the unsiege, or at least forces you to take some splash damage at a minimum. But light drop pressure over here from SpeCial. Once again, the Thors looking to just try and get some zone controlling. Ooh, Liberators, Banshees, and Thors all joining forces as one army, and they should be able to trade out pretty cost efficiently here.
Wow. There's some really sick synergy going on here. Improving on that one attack they did to Scarlet with the Banshees being included. Major target fired on the Spore Crawlers. We have harassment going on the natural too. Hellbat's actually being transformed here. So the Lings will not be an effective counter.
Yep, even getting a great position in that mineral line, making it very difficult for the Lings to actually get anything done. Finally, the Swarmos are going to try and get some counter damage done. And I think that SpeCial is paying attention to his army, already morphs them into Hellbats. The Siege Tanks unsieging, a very quick reaction from SpeCial there.
Yeah, managed to save a lot of units from that harassment, so he's going to be able to pair up the Thors or just chase down the Swarm Hosts. He wants to do that first. That's a good idea.
Yeah, the Roaches are already here, and one of the Thors was already sitting on death's doorstep. It does go down. More of these Swarmos are on the way, and Cham has finally pushed SpeCial back and has the units to be on the offensive. Let's see what he can get done.
Yeah, that was the last Locust Wave was SpeCial's first sighting of the Swarm Host, so his Blue Flame was considerably late in regards to this specific composition.
Interesting fight here. Cham is going to be trading off a lot of his Lings and his Roaches and Ravagers here, which of course all sound like inexpensive units, but he only had half of a Swarmos Locust Wave there. Now he's got the rest of them. This is the majority of the Swarmos Locust coming in, but the rest of the units have already retreated, so I would say that fight didn't go quite as well as Cham wanted.
Yeah, there's actually a ton of times I'll watch like really damn good Zerg players use their Swarm Hosts not well.
Oh.
Well, I was going to say not well by not staggering them, and then they just like literally just all were all done with one wave. But this is a case where I actually think that might have been the better choice, as opposed to staggering.
Yeah, that's a bit difficult. They were, of course, half of them were on cooldown even for the first big wave of that engagement, but it looks like he might be waiting a little bit longer for all of them to be off cooldown this time after seeing how many siege tanks there are. And there it is, all the Swarmos now off cooldown.
That's not a lot of Hellbats. You can see SpeCial just trying to keep up his production. That's a very long way for the Locust to go. They should be targeted on top of the tanks and siege most of them.
Yeah, but these Swarmos can still focus fire down the tanks. The Roaches diving in on top of this army as well. Planetary Fortress gonna be a big part of the defense here for SpeCial as the siege tanks gonna be able to sit behind it. The Planetary Fortress is actually just completely ignored as the Roaches and Ravagers run their way into the third. The Liberators mostly going uncontested, and they could start sieging up, but they want to avoid the Corrosive Vials.
Yeah. That is the, I mean, it's weird because you'd also be forcing Cham to decide between killing the Liberators or killing the tanks. He only has a finite amount of Corrosive Vials, but that's, yeah, probably exactly why he wasn't sieging them. Didn't want to be lost. Now, he takes out most of the Roach army while holding on to his fourth base, and that is really important. I think in a lot of other situations, the Locusts actually take out the Planetary. So he has that going for him. He has a fifth base going for him. SpeCial still had a very good supply. And now that he's survived that very weak moment without the Hellbat numbers, I think he's going to have a better handle on the Locust Waves from here on out. So if Cham were to go in the same composition, SpeCial might be okay.
A lot of good damage happening with that Locust Wave. Killing off 3 or so siege tanks, and I think 2 of them getting saved by hopping in the medevac. But Greater Spire is about to finish up here for Cham. And he's already got his Corruptors done. He is ready to morph in those Broodlords as soon as he sees he has the gas and the minerals for it, and he does. 1k gas, 2k minerals. But just holding off for a second. Oh, you might actually need some supply freed up.
Exactly. Like, he is supposed to be going into Broodlord Infestor, or, well, maybe with Infestors. That just go off the tongue. It's habit. He should be going into Broodlords, but he needs to get rid of these Roaches again in a very viable way, one that doesn't just trigger an immediate counter, so SpeCial wins. But
and trading out versus a lot of the army here for SpeCial is one way to start to do it. Does free up some supply. Starts up some Infestors.
Well, I think the problem right there was that was exactly how the Terran would take that engagement. The Locusts were on top of all the Hellbats, literally all of them.
Yep.
No tanks were actually hurt in the making of that movie. And as such, SpeCial is totally in his right to move forward. The Locust Wave is going to take a little while to come back up, and he's not afraid of the relatively small amount of Roaches and Ravagers because there's so many Swarm Hosts taking up supply.
Yeah, interesting though that SpeCial is feeling so aggressive, not bothering to actually look down as he's so busy looking up in the sky for the Broodlords. Doesn't care at all about the creep. and he's just going to be able to move in on top of this hatchery. Maybe he knows what a timer he's under.
No.
Gets a hatchery, and the Locust Wave is just going to kind of whiff here.
Yeah, I mean, Cham, once again, not microing them on top of the tanks. He's just going off the Hellbats, which, I mean, Special makes the right choice. He just leaves. He got the base, and he doesn't have to sacrifice the Hellbats, even though they're the cheaper, faster thing to produce. He can just run away. That is the right choice, but Cham could have gotten probably more tanks there, maybe the Thor, for instance. He really does need to start changing up his composition, though, right? Like, he's got some Broodlords and some Corruptors, but so much of his supply is still in these Swarm Hosts, and Special is getting, like a very good air army to take on the Broodlords. Like, actually, maybe even too good. He might be going for too many Vikings.
That is a fair point. The Infestors also being added in there for Cham are pretty interesting, as the fungal growth could be pretty effective. We got a 4-tank drop. This could actually snipe off some tech.
It definitely could. He obviously doesn't want tanks anymore. Going to bigger, better things. Liberators paired up with the Vikings. Like, the Locust can't help against that.
If Special forces a fight right here, those siege tanks do a lot of damage to buildings on the ground. I don't think they should kill anything.
Oh, they definitely
What
will.
if they get the spawning pool? It's not the biggest deal in the world, I guess. If you
Yeah.
We're in range of the hive. I'm not super concerned, but I'm a little concerned.
No cancel there. I think that Special should have tried to kill the hive. Just like clicked on. Okay.
I think he could have gotten it down to half hit points or something, maybe a little lower.
Maybe. His tanks were firing in different directions. That was very clearly I don't really want these units anymore, but I'm going to try and do something with them. Not a real...
Well, the rest of the army pulls the entire army of Cham into the main base while Special moves forward. Swarmos unleash their Locust Wave, and a lot of them, again, just going off immediately as soon as they get in range of the first couple of Hellbats. And sure, they'll get maybe some of these and push him back. At the same time, the 2 Siege Tanks unsieging, going after the Roachborn, actually like that pick off. The Broodlords are going to be able to push back those tanks. The Corruptors should clean up the medevac this time.
Swarm Hosts are not really supposed to be a defensive unit so much, you know? Like, the fact that they're the defenders means that at any point when they're off, the Locust cooldown, like, they're in a ton of danger, and there's not a lot of Broodlords. Like, this air army from Special could certainly take that on.
Yep. Swarmos are a unit that buys a bit of space for a little bit, and it's not for the long term. Oh my god, that fungal growth on the Vikings was really nice, but unfortunately he doesn't have anything to follow it up with. He's now out of energy on all of those Infestors. The Corruptors are doing their best, but those are actually getting taken care of, and once those are taken care of, it's effectively just a very small number of Hydras on the ground, soon to be a lot more, admittedly, but I don't really feel like Cham is he's getting as good of a trade as he would like.
Well, it's you know, the air army being alive seems like it's so important, right? Because so often we're seeing games where the Broodlord Infestor, Viper, whatever it is, end up being the ultimate goal. But in this game,
He does win the ground fight, that's true.
I'm like, the Swarm Host actually not taking up. I thought the Swarm was going to kill him. I thought there was going to be too much supply with the Locust not doing enough, but he does take a good enough engagement. The air army was tricky, but then he just doesn't worry about the air army. He goes back into Hydras instead, which will...
Liberator at the 5th base, by the way, for Cham.
We're worried about these Locust waves.
Okay, well, the Vikings are going to try and take care of a couple of these Locusts. The Thor actually adding in some nice DPS as well into the air. The Locust Wave goes off on top of the Hellbats. The Liberator able to deny some mining for a bit. Cham still has the 5th base also on the bottom side of the map, whereas Special he's got a great economy. Special has definitely got a very solid economy, but his +3 weapons have been very delayed in this game because he's been so busy trying to push in. And Cham actually has been doing really, really well so far.
Yeah. He's making this composition work. He hasn't taken as much harassment damage this game in its entirety from the get-go. We already noted that, right? And it continues to be a rather strong defensive game for Cham. I still am worried that there's going to be this one engagement where the Lokies don't do anything, and that's so much supply going into that, guys. Like, seriously. But it seems to be working out well enough for Cham, as he is maxed out. Special, not so much. Special also just making a very expensive army with these Liberators, and now Ravens. That's expensive. And slow building.
Yeah, the Ravens are very interesting to me as well, especially. We'll see how this pans out. There's still a lot more siege tanks being added on, so I still don't hate the Swarm Hosts, just because I think they are so effective if you are up against a lot of siege tanks. If you get a good engagement, of course. But I agree, this absolutely could end up being this one-sided situation where Swarm Hosts don't get a good Locust Wave off, and then suddenly Special does have a solid 30 or 40 seconds to push across the map before the Stormos are ever finding any sort of value, and that is a big supply sink.
Here's what I'm worried about, right? Is that the Liberator count and the Ravens, I guess. I'm actually not sure what he's planning with the Ravens, other than, you know, being a support unit. But they get so many Liberators that the Liberators force the Corruptors as a response. So the only thing that can respond to it, Hydra's getting taken out because there's 16 Liberators, something insane like that. But then the Vikings take care of the Corruptors. I feel like Special could get to this composition that once sieged up on something important, like close to a base or on an army, is actually just straight up better. You know, suddenly if you're mass air, then it's, you know, no worries about the Locusts. But yeah, we haven't seen that yet. And of course, we have to talk about Vipers if that day ever comes, because Parasitic Bomb would still be effective. We actually really haven't seen a ton of Viper usage. Just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, we haven't seen it from Cham. We definitely saw it from Scarlet a bit, but okay. I also like that Cham is going for the +2 air armor upgrade, which is obviously not going to be useful for... Okay, that's a lot of Liberators. Get out of there.
Oh, God.
Well, Siege Tanks, this isn't a suicide run for them, is it?
I don't think so. I think he legitimately thought he could push a base that was down here. That's not here.
I was just surprised to see them without all the Vikings and the Liberators also protecting him. But we end up seeing a couple of these Siege Tanks taking some damage from the Locust Wave, killing off a few of the Hellions. Okay, this Swarm will see you get out of there.
Yeah, we do have a cancel on a base, but just a cancel.
There are just not that many Corruptors in the air.
Well, even if there were, they'd be up against 12 Liberators, 11 Vikings. I guess it's not in the most extreme amount, but even Ravens here.
I was thinking that he wanted to help also get the armor upgrades, because there are a lot of Vikings, sure, but I was thinking that the Vikings plus the Liberators are going to do a lot less damage to those Corruptors who are already armored, and maybe he was thinking along those lines, but it doesn't seem like it.
Okay, I'm freaking out here. How are Ultras going to be a good answer against this?
Well, you see, the Ultras will run through the Liberator zones, and when they're on the other end,
do they?
With the 5 hit points.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're gonna like 5 hit points.
This is a. If he just had an Ultra Cavern and was getting Kindness Plating, but preparing for a tech switch after he takes care of this army, I could see it.
Right.
But this is now okay.
Oh my God.
Get fungal growth like that, I guess the Liberators don't matter.
Oh, you need a couple more though. There's another good one.
Yeah.
Plus a Parasitic Bomb. This would be disastrous.
Cham is delivering.
But there's no Vipers.
Infestors.
Now I might even start harping on Cham a little bit for not having Vipers. These would be dead.
Parasitic Bomb with that would be amazing.
Exactly. He's investing so many Ultras here.
I guess you could just circumvent the army. Ultras do take care of planetary fortresses very quickly. There aren't that many units back at home.
Yeah, all right. We don't have building armor quite yet. But this is already like, I feel like, okay, so Special's moving back here. It's going to result in a concave for him. Look how many liberation zones there are. Swarmos are finally going to die here.
He doesn't get the base either. That is really painful. And we're going to see Cham, the Locust Wave, really not doing too much there. So some of the Siege Tanks are still alive here for Special on the south side.
I don't, oh man, I feel so bad. I don't want to rag on him, but like, it's like the scenario is given to you if you're a Dragon where there's like 20 Liberators in the sky, you know, tanks on the ground in good positioning too, and chokes near planetaries and stuff. What unit do you make? The Ultra?
Roaches.
I don't think it's gonna be the Ultra.
Yeah.
It's something that I could see working to bust a couple of tank lines. Maybe you abduct a certain amount of Liberators away and they can work out, and they are more mobile, I suppose, right? They're trying to catch Special out of position, but Special is now reacting to the amount of Ultras he's seeing. He's spreading out his tanks to protect his planetaries and his extra bases.
Okay, there are still also a lot of Hydras available here for Cham, which could take some good engagements if they find that army out of position. Of course, the Liberators, you were saying if they get up to a high enough count, they can actually take on those Hydras. There is still a chance here for Cham to maybe take some good fights, though. End up defending that top center base. Still dealing with some of those Liberators, which, oh my God, pack a wallop.
Yeah, and they have the Liberation range, so they're quite annoying. Look at this. Luckily, the mineral patch is already gone, I guess.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm never going to say this is like a slam dunk victory for Special, because it really isn't. Like, he could easily be caught in position when you're talking about positional units.
Vipers!
Or finally some Vipers on the way. But, okay, like, I'm glad to see him, but what are your choices here? You know, you have
it's like when you get your gift after Valentine's Day. It's like, here's your it was our anniversary yesterday, right?
Yeah, but it's also like you also get half the gift because it was crushed in the mail or something.
No.
You have 3 Vipers, and how are you going to spread out the spells on this army?
Died.
Oh, you have 2 Vipers. How do you spread out the amount of spells to take on this army?
Tough questions gonna have to be answered here by Cham. He moves in on the south side of the map with a lot of army. He's gonna be able to catch one of these planetary fortresses, catch a lot of the SCVs, but with how many bases SpeCial has, that might not be the biggest deal in the world. I do like that Cham is gonna be able to kill both of those bases off before the army is even able to react, though.
Lord. Okay, suddenly 36 SCVs go down. They tried transferring back.
How many orbitals does he have? He has a lot of planetary. 6 orbitals. 6 orbitals.
I mean, he does. He can replace that, but that, you know, the 2-for-1 grab there is pretty big. If it was one planetary, I'm not so worried. But he got 2, 40 SCVs basically.
Are those Hellbats still killing the hatchery, by the way?
Yes, they are.
Oh my god, they killed the hatchery.
And he didn't have to spend his army to do it. So the mobility of his army is showing its strength here, for sure. I'm still wondering what's going to happen when the actual fight goes down, though.
It's great to be able to deny some of those bases of your opponent, but you still need to be able to take the fight. And with enough of these Vipers, you can get some big parasitic bombs off. Let me tell you something. I don't care how good SpeCial is, if he is able to, in a moment's notice, have an entire massive clump of Liberators and Vikings and he sees a parasitic bomb somewhere in there, if he is able to pick off the exact Liberator or Viking that's actually parasitic bombed, I will be quite impressed.
Yeah. Here come the Vipers. They go for the parasitic bomb on top of...
Oh my god. Try and find the parasitic bomb there.
Yeah. Well, luckily, he didn't get one on the Liberator because now, especially the right thing, it just landed. Oh, we got one on the Raven, which didn't affect very much.
I mean, all the Liberators are softened up a little bit. The Vikings are very softened up. If he gets one more of those, this actually starts looking maybe not so bad here for Cham.
I agree. And, you know, Nate was harping on SpeCial in the second game versus Scarlet. Like, he hasn't been repairing his units, which means that suddenly the situations where you're like, oh, that fungal almost killed them, suddenly it does. And that's going to be 20, 40 supply popped in an instant.
No healthcare available in SpeCial's army. This ain't no bio army. We don't got no medevacs here. The Thor is going to work its way on that hatchery. I like the non-committed pressure on that hatchery to try and snipe it off, but Cham has the top and bottom center bases. It's not just going to be about killing hatcheries right now. It's killing the army or killing tech or killing drones.
He's going to lose that air army, I'm calling it now. This is just, it's too hard to position perfectly every time. Even with the mass amount of scans going down, he's very much so making sure he doesn't get, you know, sideswiped. But.
Oh man, this is where I just imagine SpeCial trying to say, like, challenge accepted, Zombie Grub. I'm going to control this army perfectly and take the most amazing fight ever, which he definitely could. But like you said, it's so difficult.
Now this is a position that I'm like, what does Cham do with this? This is just, this looks, I don't want to say unbreakable because he can kind of maneuver around his Vipers and stuff, but that's that is a sieged up location. You not actually. And
that is the center of the map, by the way.
Yes.
there is no I will go around it.
Yeah, you could try. He's going to try and get a bit of a concave surround going down.
Okay, it starts running on in. Some blinding clouds coming down on top of the siege tanks. A lot of Liberators on the north side not really being too valuable in this fight. The Hydra's taking care of the rest of the Liberators. And SpeCial maybe a little too spread out. Yeah,
well, he didn't re-siege the Liberators once he realized where the attack was coming in. Now, saying that, Cham is the one that took a bit more severe losses there. Finds a cancel on a actually kind of important building command center. But, oh, this is really bold. This was really bold by SpeCial. He just moved all of his tanks forward unsieged.
Okay, the fungal growth's coming down on top of those Vikings. No, not a whole lot of running away from those Hydras there. The Ultras are about to go down thanks to these Cyclones. That might be the sign of saving grace here, as well as the fact that planetary fortresses do not die unless you got a lot of units there.
Yeah. Oh, I think the one thing that's going to really, you know, SpeCial looks back in this game as the one that lost in the series, something like that. Something crazy happens. The lack of building armor is going to hurt.
That definitely does hurt.
Not for an orbital, obviously, but planetaries.
It hurts for everything, Zombie Grub.
I mean, technically it does. This is a very sick game. Lots of choices, I think, that SpeCial hasn't had to make previously against other Zerg players. He's making now against Cham's Ultra style.
Weird. We ended up just seeing a SpeCial sec, like 3-4 Liberators on the hatchery. Ends up losing those. These, sorry, not Liberators, Vikings. Vikings on the hatchery, ends up losing those. All of the rest of his Vikings are landed because I guess there's no fear of the air army. And kind of finding out if this would be a nice time to maybe add on a few more of those there Vipers.
Well, to abduct the Liberators away, and actually at this point abducting the Cyclones too, as we move into basically a Cyclone army. Vipers are never bad.
Yeah.
Basically the rule. They could certainly be helpful. Still kind of a razor-thin edge. I think either player can take really great fights. Cham could get overconfident and just run into Liberators and be like, oh, well, I just lost. His bank isn't that big, and each other's gas bank really is non-existent.
Oh my god, there's so much fungal potential in this army right now. And there is a pretty decent fungal catching a lot of these Hellions. It's giving him some ranged attack there, as a hatchery, of course, is going to go down.
Okay, so this is the classic problem with Cyclones, is that whenever you decide not to engage and you go, okay, I'll retreat, they chase you down, and they get effectiveness through there. But when they're fungal, they can't really run away.
Okay. We end up seeing this army starting to take a lot more damage. Cham is finally moving through a little bit of a choke point, but these Ultras are tanking a lot, even versus those Cyclones. The Liberators nowhere to be seen throughout this fight, as they are all on the south side. They finally unsiege and start making their way forward. But it's an awkward angle to try and move in, because he's going up against a mass Hydra army.
Yeah, I think Cham has got it with this push. Well, Liberators actually coming around from the reinforcements, so now there's multiple angles of Liberators, but these might be freebies.
Yep.
Not necessarily freebies, but I think a more effective trade for Cham.
Definitely a lot more effective there for Cham. Now, I think he's out of fungal growth, so he's going to have a hard time actually keeping this army from moving up that ramp. The Hellions actually doing quite a bit of damage, and even sniping off a lot of these Infestors. But more of these Liberators end up sieging up right on top of the Hydras. They are going to end up falling. Are the Cyclones going to be able, I mean, he'll be able to defend here, but was it a good enough defense?
This is so sick, man. Cham, I mean, he has some mining still left over here and over here, but his gas mining is so poor. He's going to have to remake Lings, and I got to tell you, Hellion Cyclone is going to be far more cost efficient
Where are
than
Cham's workers? He
Ling
has,
Hydras.
He has workers.
I mean, well, 53 workers isn't that many. 2 bases, right?
Okay,
oh,
he has one base with 18
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I was saying, like, he has no mineral income, it feels like.
I get you. I mean, he has made sure to saturate his gases first and foremost.
That is very true.
He desperately needs this base or the bottom one that SpeCial just took out. Meanwhile, SpeCial, I mean, he's not exactly floating in money, right? But his composition, unless it's caught off guard, it's fungled or it's surrounded, should be better in this type of engagement.
In low and mid-supply army exchanges, I totally agree. The Cyclones are going to be amazing at that, and they actually come in over here. They snipe off another one of these important mining bases. Here for Cham. The Hydra's coming in from behind, though. There is no escape for this army, and suddenly SpeCial going to be losing the one kind of trump card he had in this game.
Well, he put himself on creep with that. Okay, there we go. He put himself on creep. And
tell the others what I've done to you.
And he couldn't, run back to a planetary, and that's the type of thing that Cham needs to have happen to win the engagements. Otherwise, like I said, Cham is going to start losing out. But that was perfect for him. SpeCial still has extra bases, so there's always going to be this need for Cham to run around the map. I guess this is really only the one feasible base for SpeCial to take, because this one's got creep spread.
Yeah, that does physically disable you from being able to take that base.
Yeah.
Of course, SpeCial, I'm sure he would love to make that planetary fortress. He's also sitting very low on the income right now. Even though he's got, the capability of throwing down the Mule Hammer, it is really just about not having a lot of workers to actually, or also just bases, mineral patches to mine from.
Ooh, this is still scary stuff.
This is a doozy of a game. And it is not locked down for Cham just yet. We got more of these Infestors being made for Cham. These have been serious MVPs throughout this game, really pulling back a lot of engagements that I thought was going to go very poorly for him.
Yeah. SpeCial... Oh, whoopsie-daisy. Didn't mean to point that out. SpeCial has a decent amount of mining, even on the bases that aren't new. And that is, we're getting into that territory. It's so scrappy, and if SpeCial can continue denying a base like this, then we are going to have to talk about
that hatchery offset because of the creep tumor?
I think so, yes.
Just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah. It's so silly. This planetary doesn't do anything right now. Like, it's not mineable.
It killed an Infestor zombie grub.
Well,
who's doing nothing now?
That's what I meant, is that it's not mining, but it's actually still super effective as like
I know, sorry. I cut you off. So
yeah, you meanie.
We end up having Cham trying to move up a ramp, and he is going to be able to successfully do so. It doesn't seem like SpeCial really wants to take this fight. He's retreating back, but remember, there's no planetary over here. Maybe if he goes far back enough, he can get to a defensive position, but he's just going to end up losing all of his workers, all of his orbitals.
But if he takes out the Hydras, I think that might be worth it. Like, he has...
Can he actually close the distance and not get fungled like that?
No. I mean, eventually...
Another fungal available.
He is taking out Hydras with every push in here.
He is.
But he's also losing his bases. This is a planetary, but no SCVs to repair it. If only it transferred the SCVs.
Oh boy.
There would be enough minerals to repair anyways.
Now that's going to be dead, and Cham, with a run-by attempt from those Hydras, he bleeds off a few Hydras, but he's got a better economy than SpeCial for sure now.
Yeah, well, SpeCial needs to break one of these bases, and he's going to try and go for the actual break of the game. This is probably going to decide who taps out. I'm feeling like SpeCial's going to be forced to play an ace match against this guy, but I don't know. He's got tanks supporting on the low ground now to focus fire those infestors.
He has to move up through a choke point against these infestors.
Well,
even with the siege tanks over there, these are going to be difficult to deal with. I'm not gonna say that it's not something that's possible for SpeCial, but as soon as he moves a little too far forward, he's not repairing any of these units like you pointed out so many times before.
Well, at this point, he doesn't have the workers or the economy to.
Yes, this is true.
He's actually just long distance mining, which he's going to fix, eventually. But this is not a lot of workers in general. He is running out of that nonstop, mule potential that he had. And while he gets this base, this is now the more important fresh base that Cham has already maneuvered his units over to try and defend. But getting caught a little bit here. SpeCial has a very, very good army. Even though it's down in supply, it's the difference of a fungal. That is what's going to make the difference.
Okay.
Where are the
up the ramp?
fungals?
He's a little too far still on the south. He's trying to come in from both sides as we end up seeing the roaches and the hydras going to be collapsing in on this army. The siege tanks splash damage just really not being nearly as effective.
Ooh,
and we end up seeing this army for SpeCial has been cleaned up. 70 army supply to 34. The hydras push forward, even with the cyclones kiting to the best of their abilities. They're going to take some damage here and there, and they're going to start going down.
That was a really good surround. Took advantage of the potential of the map. GG! Cham! That was a nail biter. That was super hard fought. That still could have gone in SpeCial's favor if he hadn't killed a couple of those bases. Imagine if there's 2 planetaries in those bottom bases with building armor. That's so different.
Building armor. Remember to research it, Terrence. It is very good. But still, really, really well played there by Cham. We were talking about the first game where he fell behind after losing the 4th base with the Liberator harassment, pulling all of Cham's units out of position. He lost the 4th base. And then from there, he just ended up losing, even though he tried to play this long macro style like you were talking about how Scarlet did versus SpeCial. It was just the fact that he didn't actually secure the bases before being able to do that. This game, he was able to secure the bases. He was able to play the super long macro game. And he was able to take the game.
Yeah, and kudos to the decision to go for those ultras. I still wonder if ultras really were the key, or maybe it was more just the idea of something more mobile.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop making fun of Cham for the ultras now. I have been turned around.
There had to be a reason for it. It just is one of those things that might be effective in his ladder matches, but maybe not against SpeCial. A caliber player like SpeCial, but obviously it did work that game. So more power to him. It did the job of being mobile and also being able to survive, crunching down on those planetaries where maybe masslings would not have, right?
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we go into our last game of the day, we're going to go to a short break. We'll be back with game number 3 to see who moves on to the round robin. One game remains after a nail-biter of a game number 2. We have a tied-up series 1-1. We move into our decider match. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Cham versus SpeCial. Only one of these guys gets to move on. Zombie Grub, your prediction.
SpeCial. SpeCial moves on.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to be starting up here in the top right-hand corner of Automaton to get things started. He's going to be on top of the red Terran player. He is the very own SpeCial.
And in the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, it is Cham. And if we were all doubting him after that first series, it is now a serious question. Is SpeCial going to get knocked out?
Potentially history in the making for Cham. 4th time being able to maybe take a series off of SpeCial. If he's able to take this game, he's been able to actually take series off of him in Copa America. But a lot of the times in Copa America, it was a double elimination bracket and SpeCial would just come straight back at him in the winners finals. And things would go horribly wrong, or Kellizer would still be waiting there or something. And this time, if he knocks SpeCial out here, if he wins this game, SpeCial's out of the tournament. There's no, oh no, SpeCial's going to come back for me later on. So this would be a really big moment, a really big opportunity for Cham. Let's see if he can make it happen. Automaton, definitely a pretty interesting map and how things can play out. Nice wide open areas. And definitely some multiple attack paths and stuff you can go for.
Well, let's just talk about the game they played on this map last time.
Oh,
They
yeah.
faced off against each other. It was one where Cham tried to hold on till it got to Brood Lords, but SpeCial just dominated and then had the macro behind it to react to those Brood Lords. And I talked about that, and it was a mark against him that he was unable to hold out long enough like Scarlet was. And I was seriously wondering if Cham really had it in him to be up to Scarlet standards, to actually take on SpeCial. After that last game, even with the interesting choices, sometimes maybe taking weirder compositions on other people, not going so much into the spellcast to other people, that type of stuff, he was able to pull it out. He clearly knows how to win a late game, but I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan of SpeCial's mech today. Not that it's not generally very good or that I hate mech.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't, you don't know. But it's actually that he has lost games with it more so than his bio. His bio looks much more convincing, specifically.
And we could very well, for that exact same reason, see SpeCial go into more bio play. Only time will tell, as we will, of course, see Hellions popping out of their reactor factory. We already have some Zerglings ready to intercept a Reaper that's not going to be coming.
No Reaper. Starport way back, so in case a lane got a scout up here, it wouldn't be seen at all. There's other ways to tell if they have a starport or a command center coming down, though. Like the supply depots in the front line, but we'll see if that's... Like, I'm most interested in what that's going to be, but I'm feeling it's just going to be Liberator.
Liberator, yeah.
Yeah, which we've seen SpeCial do before. Just a little bit of harassment.
Liberator of harassment, indeed. As we end up seeing third base getting finished up there for Cham. And already getting that creep spread going. Already love that.
Okay. Interesting to move the barracks to the starport, since it's so easy for an Overlord just to be here. With the Marines checked for, by the way. He's doing this on purpose. He knows what he's doing, and he even moves it away from this Overlord. So it's the other Overlord you maybe wouldn't have expected, but SpeCial did.
Yeah, there is still then one Overlord by the gold base. So I wonder when that's actually going to start, if that is actually ever going to move in, or if it's just sitting there waiting to see if any Hellions or anything move out across the map, as that will reveal some of the ramp for a move out. Armory's added on.
This seems like the most obvious location to scout, by the way. Like, it's right here.
That's why you wouldn't scout at Zombie Grub. That's why I hard my Dark Shrines at my opponent's natural.
Oh my god. I believe you.
I think I've shown you games where I've done this.
So the Overlord is, as you were saying, it's definitely to see the Hellions run through, the amount of Hellions, if they're accompanied by anything. So he doesn't really want to use them. Use the Overlord to sacrifice in the main.
This Ling run by could actually get some really nice damage done.
Oh,
The wall is not
timed.
finished.
You know, I was waiting for someone to finally do this. Like, SpeCial has been rather aggressive with his Hellions, even prior to committing to the Hellbat attack, and finally he's getting really, really hurt by it. Really hurt by it.
Hellions in the right
There we go.
position. Hellbat's revealed, by the way. So now Cham 100% knows what he's going to be up against with the Hellbat follow-up here. The Lings are going to get taken care of, and of course those Lings did cost drones. Drones that could have been made, but he kills 10 workers. Absolutely worth it so far.
Oh, it's totally, absolutely amazing. He got 10 workers, a lot of non-mining time.
Oh my god, he's got more Lings.
He
got more Lings.
stalled the third CC, which would maybe be on the way if it wasn't for everything else. The wall's not done and more Lings are prepared, even a bit of a supply block here. These Hellbats were forced to pull back home to give Cham time to build roaches. Everything is looking good for Special. That's not going to hold. More Lings going to flood in here. There are 2 Hellions, however, probably controlled, maybe take care of it, but they're not being controlled.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
Narrowly managed to squeeze their way out. He also raises the depot in time, but more Lings come on in and pull all of the Hellions back home to deal with this. Behind this, Cham is droning up quite a bit and also getting up Spore Cars to deal with the Banshees. He is handling everything really well.
I can't really overstate how important this is. This isn't just the direct SEV count being taken down, now 15 in total, right? He's up 15 workers, it makes sense. It's that there's all that lost mining time. There's no attack happening either. The Banshees haven't been able to be properly controlled and micro to do damage. This is a mistake, though. Cham finally making a mistake here. Roaches should not have come forward. He didn't know about the Banshees. That goes back to the whole scouting issue. And he could have lost them if he had continued to commit. But now it's maybe a chance to get some roasty toasty.
Okay, this is where SpeCial has to do that equalizing damage. A lot of the Lings are already dead, and like you said, the Roaches are now going to be out of position. So the Hellions getting quite a bit of damage done, already roasting and toasting one of the mineral lines. 10 workers killed is pretty good damage, and a lot of the Hellions are still going to be able to escape out of there. The Banshees now coming into the main base. There's 2 Queens and a Spore Caller there. They are not going to get anything done.
But they safeguard him against the Roach attack, which if they had not shown themselves, maybe the Hellions are still back at home. They're still a very important part of the process. Really good that SpeCial was able to get some return damage. Otherwise, this was such a perfect game for Cham. Cham just making a little bit of a mistake there, letting his Roaches move out. Really should have kept them back at home. We are going into bio beyond this, which is a little weird to say. SpeCial spent so long producing Hellions to do the Hellbat attack, and then also to make sure he didn't die to Ling counters, that we would see a delayed Marine production. And we are seeing that. But at least he has Stim on the way, even though his Marine count won't be that high for 1 minute, 2 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, okay, there are the evolution chambers being added on. I was a little bit worried just because of how weird this opening was for both sides and the kind of back and forth pressure. Those upgrades would get delayed too much, but see what he's going to invest into is just making more Roaches.
I actually would love for Cham to do a 1-1 Roach attack. I feel like SpeCial would still be reeling off the back of all those Ling attacks, even though he got some return damage.
If you start up 1-1 right now, would it be combat shields?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Combat Shields isn't that slow of an upgrade. Stim is, but Combat Shields isn't.
Okay, we end up seeing 3 Banshees able to get some good damage done, and at least forcing a cancel on that 4th base is annoying, and keeping all the Banshees alive is very, very nice, especially given how many Roaches are being made. Those can definitely find some value later on.
And he's building 3 more Queens. I mean, yeah, okay, there's the 1-1 started. I'm not suspecting any Nidus were in play, and that is going to be a big a bummer on the whole idea of sending your Roaches across the map, is that 3 Banshees would absolutely tear them apart, and you really have to prep long-term to get Queens across the map,
Overlord
right?
drop. That is the other way. That is the other way to get them across the map.
He got Overlord speed. I was literally thinking about that, seeing that upgrade, and then I forgot about it. That is perfect then. Then he can actually do the Roach attack and deal with the Banshees without having to take them down defensively.
Yeah, I like that Overlord is like, I need a 4th Queen. I got more space.
Yeah, it's amazing that 4 Queens fit in 1 Overlord. Anyways, this drop, here's the thing. If SpeCial loses this drop, Cham actually has such a sick attack. He needs to keep this alive, and he needs to send it back home, too, I feel.
Yeah. He's going to see a decent number of Roaches flooding their way into the main base. The rest of the Roaches sitting on the low ground, ready to intercept things. Those medevacs moving a bit slow, but it looks like he is getting some damage done on the hatchery. The problem is that's not really going to actually matter until that hatchery drops to 0 hit points. So, sure, it's a nice bit of damage to get done to a hatchery, but now what does he do about the big attack?
He's doing it! Oh, is this actually going to work? I should be a pro gamer for Dragon.
Doubling the army supply right now. Cham has a very, very scary army. There's how many siege tanks set up right now? 2 siege tanks. The medevacs are still alive, though, and he is buying a bit of time.
Okay, SpeCial, I was going to say, as soon as he saw the Ravagers actually being made there, he better be throwing on bunkers, but even then, it's a little bit late. Probably the idea of being attacked didn't hit him until just like 10 seconds ago. He does have a bit of a wall, even though the bunkers aren't done, but it's only 2 tanks. And the Banshee should be taken care of by the Queens.
And there's Ravagers here. He's just going to Ravager, Corrosive Bile down some of the siege tanks.
Whoa, he misses!
Has a lot of the fire split up as well, so it's just going to get repaired back up. The Banshees getting taken care of, like you said, by those Queens. And Cham is trying to bust on forward. He needs to get the damage on over here. 1-1 finishes up in the middle of this fight. The bunker's starting to go down. The siege tanks taking some more of these corrosive biles, but they're still getting damage done. It looks like they are finally cleaned up with that last corrosive bile, and SpeCial's army is gone. Zombie Grub, I think this might be the 4th time Cham is able to beat SpeCial.
You know, he asked me about combat shield. SpeCial just straight up forgot combat shield for such a long time.
That's one way to delay things.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Those Marines would have lasted a little while longer, and I gotta say, Cham did not execute that perfectly. If the combat shield was done, if SpeCial had known about this a little bit sooner, this could be a very, very different game. But Cham looks like he just has the numbers. He's doubling the army on equal upgrades. Combat shield's still not anywhere close to being finished.
Supply block him too.
That's correct. He really needs as much supply as he can. He's got to pull the SCVs too. He's not gonna survive if he doesn't.
This is so many roaches. GG gets called. Cham is gonna be your next player to advance on to the round of 8. He knocks out the fan favorite SpeCial, a guy who I think a lot of people look at this entire group stage and say, well, SpeCial's probably gonna get 1st or 2nd, right?
Yeah.
No, Cham knocks him out.
After the first series of the day as well, where SpeCial just looked dominant, Cham did look like he didn't stand a chance. Cham brings it back with an awesome macro game in game number 2 and an amazing choice in game number 3. I mean, it was off the back of those Lings, but to follow up in the 1-1 Roach all-in, I think was always going to be effective. And in this case, it just won the game.
A really good read there from Cham on exactly how to react. Zombie Grub, I'm looking forward to your future as a pro player and just being able to have the perfect reads there to close out that game. But congratulations, Cham is going to be the 2nd player to move on. He is going to be advancing on alongside Scarlet. So we got some of those Zergs in the round of 8. We heard you guys saying we didn't have enough Zergs in America's round of 16, but we got Scarlet, we got Cham. Of course, Rex putting up a good fight, and also SpeCial putting up a good fight, but both of those players now knocked out of WCS Winter.
I am in shock.
I am so hyped right now. I'm so happy for Cham. He's such a good guy. He is. Such a good kid.
Yeah, the new, the team pickups, got to be happy about that
Chivo,
now.
yeah. Oli Moly is just like, yes, perform better for me.
Yes, that team's actually really rocking with the GSL results as well. So that is some good stuff. Really shocking upset. I think maybe the round of 16 is just going to be the round of upsets, because the European group is also a little surprising.
Yeah, I got very few predictions right about the European group, but I got 2 predictions. I got 2 predictions right on the Americas group. I was pretty happy about that.
Did you think Cham was going to make it through?
I didn't think Cham was going to make it through, but I did say after the group started that I thought Cham could win.
Wait a minute. After Cham got 2-0'd like that.
Yeah. I did say that. I did say
you were right,
group curse. But predictions aside, guys, we want to hear your predictions. Let us know on Twitter, on Reddit, on Team Liquid, wherever, or just in Twitch chat about the groups tomorrow, because those are going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be live at the same time as always. So I hope to see you guys there for more WCS Winter. Until then, have a wonderful night.